Hello and welcome to another Travel Risk Management Health, Safety and Security Advisory Tip. My name's Tony Ridley. I'm Editor-in-Chief at TravelRiskManagementSolutions.com. Increasingly, when people travel, there's a whole associated amount of travel documentations or even emergency data. Some of this can be contained electronically, some of this can be referenced or accessed remotely, but there's also an imperative to carry this printed documentation. Regardless of the evolution of technology, many passports, for example, have microchips contained within them. Very few airports and government agencies use any or all of this information. And what this means is that for departing passengers, you're still filling in forms with the same details on your passport that have always been on your passport, or upon arrival in a foreign country, you're still basically replicating and redocumenting all of the information associated within your passport. Particularly as you go further afield, there's cultural and legacy and historical evolution factors that are impeding or inhibiting the development in this area. So therefore, you need to start with a paper document process. So for many individuals, you need to also look at waterproofing. Waterproofing, carrying a passport in your pocket as you're walking around a highly humid area or in temperate zones, then it can potentially destroy the passport, damage the images and certainly the inks and so on in your passports. Or you get wet, you end up in water, all these sorts of things. So not only do you need to consider the paper, but also things like laminating, also waterproofing, backup copies, all those sorts of things need to be considered. Very few individuals, particularly given the technology leniency with most travel bookings, think about these paper issues. But unfortunately, there are a number of protocols and countries around the world that you can't even get access to the airport unless you produce your printed documentation. India is a very good example. You can't even get access to the airport itself unless you go through what could be deemed a prehistoric process in producing your travel documentation, a printed ticket per se, before you're checked against a manifest or a passenger list, and then permitted and granted access to even get into the airport where you can then check in and be processed. So again, that's certainly not singling out any one country. There are many countries around the world that simply have this process. When it comes to emergency data, likewise, this is emergency data that's not only limited to information found on your person in the event of an injury or an illness, but also something available to your supporting mechanisms, and that whether it be your airlines, whether it be the hotels. Sometimes this can be in the forms of membership tags associated with airlines and so on, in case of emergency, type bracelets, a military style dog tag type processes for contact details. All of these are variants and possible options, as well as some of the data available in your phone or tablets or those sorts of things. But again, remembering that it may not necessarily be you that requires to implement this information, so therefore it should be both succinct and accurate for someone to be contacted on your behalf, for example. Now, electronically, when it comes to travel documentation, again, emails, as pervasive as they may be and the proliferation of mobile devices, you still require emergency backups or the ability to be able to print them. So you can put them in cloud-based storage, you can put them in various applications, you can scan them. Again, it's about having redundancies. This shouldn't be a laborious process, but it should certainly be a well-practiced business process and a business practice in the fact that not only from the time that you've received your booking and your travel details and confirmation, any and all information associated with that travel, whether it be a pre-education or introductory video, whether it be a information sheet, whether it be an induction process, whether it be the actual bookings and accommodation and all of the sundries associated with, which means you get free Wi-Fi and breakfast included, all of that information also needs to be accessible, whether you use travel applications, whether you use cloud-based services, or you have specific email boxes set up for that you could remotely access in an internet cafe. All of those things, all of those processes are viable options, but they they need to be structured, they need to be systematic, and they need to be practical in their application. And that goes for emergency data, contact details. Very few people actually remember phone numbers anymore because they're pre-saved in mobile phones and in mobile devices. Is that most people, when challenged, probably couldn't even remember the phone number of their 5 closest friends because all of the contact details are automatically stored and there's simply no requirement to memorize those sorts of things in the modern age. So once again, thanks very much for joining us for another travel risk management, health, safety and security advisory tip. For more information and videos on this subject, please visit the website at www.travelriskmanagementsolutions.com. Thank you. That's all for now. Goodbye.
Do you travel for business? Your health and safety is at risk. At Travel Risk Management Solutions, we help you reduce the risk of business travel. Get information and support for your company's social and legal objectives of reducing, managing, or eliminating business travel risks. We provide online business hazard identification information, location-specific business travel information, manager's guides, tools and checklists, training resources, and consulting. We ensure that business leaders and travel managers make informed decisions. Remove fear, uncertainty, and doubt. Ensure your workplace health and safety includes business travel today. Get your tips from www.travelriskmanagementsolutions.com.